Let me know when you're ready to go.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, so that was Darkhawk 51, and we're moving on to Old Man Logan 31. And Trevor's going to take this one away for the first legacy issue of Old Man Logan, and I got the Moon Knight value stamp in Old Man Logan. Just for everyone's information. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I thought, you know, I was kind of like, I mean, I was hating on the value stamp idea when it was first announced because I had no idea what the hell it was, but it's like kind of opening a pack of cards in these legacy issues. You don't know which one you're getting. So I always skip right to that, see who I got.
Just excited to see what you got.
It's entertained me in that like opening a pack baseball or football cards kind of way that I used to do.
I thought I saw like I don't know if it was like not like a booklet or a folder or like a piece of paper, like you know how people have like quarter collections and you slide in the quarter in their slots, like they have like a stamp thing like that where you could like put all your collection of stamps. I don't know.
Yeah, they got them at my store. I keep meaning to grab one because they've just been sitting there. Nobody's taking them, but so I might just take one next time I go in on Wednesday.
I wanna, man. It hurts me that I'm digital. I want to buy like a hard copy. So
yeah, I've really trimmed down my hard copy books. Like every week, it's another one. I decide, I'll just do this one digital. I'm not enough in love with it to keep buying it. So
yeah,
my list keeps getting smaller. But yeah, I still go. I'll never stop getting Spider-Man and Batman. At least you know what I'm saying. And then I always like. Yeah. At least the mini series, I like to get the single issues of. I don't know why, but I just end up trashing them eventually. But I don't know, or I give them to my buddy. Like I don't hang on to them. Once I've read that story, I don't usually read it again, so I get rid of them.
I miss having hard copies so bad, and it just kills me to know that when I start buying them again, I'm gonna have to buy like a fucking stack of certain titles just so I can fill in my collection. So the longer it goes, the longer I feel troubled to keep track of everything that I have to get for collection purposes. But
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff I'm gonna be dropping that I used to buy. So there's a lot of stuff that I used to buy
I
that I'm
stopped
just
detecting this week since we finally got like approved for our house or whatever to buy it that we wanted.
Yeah.
So finally won one of the bids. And yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to trim. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm gonna have to trim some of these books I'm on the fence about anyway, and I don't feel like reading about the Victim Syndicate ever again. So that's a good place to start.
Never again. So, God, let it go, Tynan.
That's the one thing I hate about long running creative teams. You know, when they're not switched up every 12 issues or so, is that they're almost most definitely going to revisit a villain that if you didn't enjoy the first time, you're not going to enjoy it the second time. So that's like just torture to read about it. And I know it's coming up in Spider-Man too with this Zodiac dude.
The best writers.
Go ahead.
Yeah. He's coming back. Green Goblin's coming back later on. That's why I always say like the best
I don't
writers.
Mind Goblin. He's like a classic dude, but this Zodiac guy can go to hell. I don't care.
But I feel like a lot of these guys who do that just like rehash their old shit over and over again are either like they're either like getting at something big or they're just like starting to become creatively bankrupt. Like, oh, I don't have anything else to do, so let me or they're trying to like push something on you that they created and
that's where that's kind of it. That's exactly the kind of the road I was headed down when I started talking about this. I don't know if I said it out loud, but yeah, what you just said is what I agree with. Like I'm pretty sure James Tynan created this Victim Syndicate, and he's going to beat it into the ground because he created it and he likes it. So
we have to like it.
Anyway,
too.
Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan number 31, written by Ed Brisson with art by Mike Diodato Jr. Colors from Frank Martin, letters from VC's Corey Pettit with a cover from Mukesh Singh, who did a fantastically, beautifully detailed cover.
Yeah, I really like that cover too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. You can even see the scrapes and lines and Logan's face. I don't think I would have noticed as much detail hard copy as I do digitally.
What's it say here? It says the cover is based on the cover to Wolverine 1988 #2 by John Buscema and Klaus Janson.
Klaus Janson. Yep.
So I forget who he's making out with on that cover. Is that Jean Grey?
That's the Cameron Stewart variant cover that's based on the Wolverine.
Oh, my fault. All right. Anyway, I've seen this pose of Wolverine like making out with somebody before, and I want to say it's like a Jean Grey skull face, but
maybe.
I don't know.
I know this chick. I mean, I've never heard of this chick before, but
yeah, she's new. I looked her up. I was going to do her for Midpoint Facts, and she's brand spanking new. So,
well, that's good to know because I was hoping.
Yeah, we're not missing anything as far as backstory goes. I tried to find out.
So the solicit goes a little something like this: The Scarlet Samurai, Part 1. Old Man Logan, the man who was Wolverine, is up against a foe like no other, the Hand. Logan's past comes back to haunt him when a former love drags him into battle with the Hand, who have bolstered their forces like never before. Just when things couldn't get any worse, Logan encounters the mysterious Scarlet Samurai. Will Logan be able to discover who she is and take down the Hand? Probably.
Yeah. So, I'm betting he does. In the end, not this issue.
One thing, I read a review on this issue, and it was so fucking stupid. They were complaining that Logan was too much like Wolverine, which I had to shake my head at because I'm like, you know, he is Wolverine.
Just with a little more experience and a fucked up future. That's all.
And it was that dude, Josh Davidson on Bleeding Cool, who just sometimes he writes decent
reviews. Yeah, I don't like their reviews
always,
at all.
they're awful. They are awful, and they always he always has these hang-ups of like stupid shit. Like just one thing will bother him, so he'll give it like a low score. Or like I remember Daredevil, like the first issue of Legacy Daredevil. There was something about the storyline. He was like, well, they've done this a few times before, so I just don't like it at all. I'm like, oh, he got so hung up on it. He kept talking about it the whole review. They fucking suck. Anyway, don't go to Bleeding Cool. They suck, and they freeze your phone. Whenever I go to that website, my phone freezes. I can barely scroll up. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with that website. Fuck them. Anyway, we start this issue off in unpronounceable Japan. Kobe Kichu, Kabu Kikachu, something like that. Who knows?
Oh, you. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no clue. After Logan's big battle with the gang of Hulks in the quiet countryside of Canada, he decides to try his luck in the city. He walks up to a bar to get some beers because, you know, he loves beer. And before he can walk in, someone comes crashing through the window. So he's... Oh, yeah, I skipped over that paragraph. All right, so that's when we cut... Nope, I skipped over 2 paragraphs. So then a bunch of clowns calling themselves the Crazy Thunder Clan come following through the window, yelling about this dude not buying them beers. Because if you're going to drink in their bar, you're going to have to buy them some beers. So Logan steps up and tells them, you know, hey, man, I've been going through some rough shit lately. I don't know about this guy, but if you just let this guy go, I'll buy you some beers and we can all sit down and have a drink. And, you know, the Crazy Thunder douche is like, doesn't like what he has to say, doesn't even like that he's butting in, and he smashes him in the face with an aluminum bat, and it's on. And they start beating on Logan, stabbing him, and Logan retaliates and stops chopping off fingers and hands and arms because, you know, that's his thing. And
his go-to move.
That's his signature shit right there. And the funny thing is like just about as soon as he chops off fingers and hands and arms, they grow back immediately. So he's realizing that there's something going on here. And he's getting nowhere slicing and dicing these motherfuckers. And so he just starts beating the shit out of them with his fists. You know, he can't chop them to pieces because they'll just heal, but he can knock them unconscious, which, you know, makes sense. And he knocks out the majority of them, but he leaves one guy to awake for questioning. So he knows they're not mutants or inhumans because the odds of all 3 of them having the same power is really unlikely. So he tells the third dude to start spilling. And then that's where we cut, and we head over to the Shida Corporation in Tokyo, where where we follow Dr. Tuko Kenmoki, Kimochi, something like that. And he's working late in the office, which seems to be an as usual kind of thing because his coworkers on their way out the door ask him to come out for drinks. And he's like, maybe next time. And one of them's like, yeah, he always says that shit, jerk. So so the door shuts behind him and he thinks it's okay to play. So he goes and he grabs 3 vials of some kind of chemical that we don't know what it's called yet, but we will. And then he heads towards the parking garage. So he's almost to his car. And someone calls out his name, and he turns around, and it's Shingen Harada, the Silver Samurai, or the second Silver Samurai, the son of the Silver Samurai. So he accuses Tuco of stealing Regenix from him, which he denies. Well, he doesn't, not Regenix specifically, just accuses him of stealing. And he denies it, but he ends up admitting to steal it. He denies it a bunch of times, but he ends up stealing it
until they show him they got him on film.
Yeah, until they show him they got him on film. And he turns, and what's his name? Harada turns into the Silver Samurai. Well, he admits it under duress. I was stealing it under duress. They're going to kill my family. There's nothing I can do. I can't tell you who they are. All that gobbledygook. And then he turns into the Silver Samurai and fucking hangs him over the side of the building by his throat. And fearing for his life, Silver Samurai tells him that it was Kenji Azone of the Crazy Thunder Clan, which is a lame name, but it's Japan. And he begs not to be dropped. And after he gets the information, Silver Samurai doesn't give a fuck, so he just drops him. And I have to say, when he does drop him, the scene, like when Mike Deodato, the way he drew it with the lines, like it you could.
I know.
It really looks like he's going down, like, and it's almost in motion, like because of the way it's drawn. It looks really good. So he goes splat. He's done, and Silver Samurai doesn't like when people grovel, which is kind of ridiculous because
yeah, that's what he mentions. He just drops him, and you see a nice splat on the ground.
See a splat on the ground. It's like, I don't like when people grovel. Well, when you turn into a supervillain and you pick someone up and hang them off the building by the throat, they're gonna grovel. Like there's no getting around it. So next we meet back up with Logan, who's walking up to meet the rest of the Crazy Thunder Clan, and they're all waiting on Tuco in the freezer of some fucking place called, I don't know what it is. It says rest. There's a sign outside. It says Resta. I think it's a restaurant, maybe.
Yeah.
So they're in this freezer of this restaurant, what I'm assuming is a restaurant, and they're waiting for their next shipment of what Tuco stole from Hashida Corporation, which is Regenix, which is what gave those guys their powers of healing. So they're a little worried because the first 3 idiots from earlier in the book went missing, and Tuco is running late, and they're running low on product, and they have to water it down, and it's gotten to the point where it's so watered down that it's basically just fucking water. So the leading man screams and asks what the hell is going on, and then Logan walks up and asks him the same question. And after some exchange of words and questions and whatnot, a fight breaks out, which is on cue because, once we get to about this point in about any comic book issue, we have to have the big fight scene. So, and it's a beautiful fight scene. All these guys are rushing Logan. He's chopping off fucking fingers and hands and legs. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I really like their fight scenes in this book. I know it's cliche to say in a Wolverine comic, but fight scenes, whatever, if they're not done well transitionally or they just feel like there's no purpose to it. Like, I don't know. I feel like most of them are set up pretty well, and then they look super awesome. So it definitely, like, even though you get a lot of fighting in this book, it doesn't feel like it's pointless or just for the show. You know what I'm saying?
No. It always has. There's always like a clear reason why the fight is taking place. And another thing I like is, especially in the splash page, you get the wide open shot of everybody attacking him. And then from the panels on the right is a breakdown of what's happening like in the middle of that attack. So you get like close-ups on everything that Logan's doing, which is beautiful. It's pretty awesome. And then the whole entire panel layout is just, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous and it's very clear. Like you can completely tell what's going on through the whole entire fight just from these 2 splash pages. It doesn't even have to be like a 4-page fight. This one splash page breaks down the fight beautifully. So, he starts chopping everybody up. and he chops off this guy's leg, and it's just not growing back. And the guy's like, my leg, it's not growing back. So, you know, Logan thinks it's from the cold. You know, the cold is slowing down cell regeneration, which makes sense. And it's got to be the freezer. So he's pretty much starts taking out everybody, chopping them all into pieces, and they're all done. And he grabs the leader, and he does his famous little, you know, he gets the leader spits in his face, and he does this, you know, that thing he does with his claws. He'll put his fist to your chin. Yeah. He'll pop the 2 claws.
One of my favorite.
Save the middle claw for last. I love what he does. Yeah, it's the best. Because I mean, if I had his claws, that's what I would do. Like
I always put like my hand. I imagine Wolverine's hand has to be bigger than mine, you know, because I always put mine to my throat when he does that, and I'm like, well, if I had 3 claw knuckles, I don't think anyone's face is fitting between my 2 far ones. You know what I'm saying?
No. No. And, you know, he's 5 feet tall, so he must have these monstrous hands. Like, I'm about 6'4". My hands don't do that. You know,
I'm the same way. I'm 6'1", 6'2", and my hands aren't like Wolverine size big. But anyway.
No. I cut off the side of my cheeks at least. Maybe a smaller person's head, but who knows? Anyway. So, so after a little intimidation with the claws and all, he tells Logan who he got the drugs from, but he didn't know where they came from. Like, he didn't know. He told him he got from Tuco, but he didn't know what company made them or where Tuco worked. He had no clue where the lab was. So, you know, that's pretty much that for that scene. I guess we'll catch up with Logan in the next issue. But now we are back at the Yoshida Corporation, and Harada is on a phone call telling someone that, you know, he handled the Regenix leak. It's all set. Don't worry about it. Meanwhile, there's a giant fucking army of hand-foot soldiers climbing up the building.
Yeah. It looks like World War Z.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Like when they're climbing over the wall and making that little that ant thing. And poor Harada, you know, he had a date with a Swedish supermodel, but it's just not going to happen because the security goes off, and you know, he has to bust out Silver Samurai armor, which is pretty cool. I like he just, I don't know if he presses a button, because I don't know a lot about Silver Samurai. He doesn't really. Last time he showed up was in Mighty Thor, when all those corporations like Dario Agger's corporation, Kingpin, they were all sitting around a table with planning, you know, the War of the Realms, because he's sending all those things off. But I'm not gonna get into that. That's Thor. But anyway, that's the last time I saw him, and I don't know how that armor grows on. If he just does it from will, or if he has a button on his watch or something. But it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know. It just appears. I don't think it's like magnetic either. It just isn't visible when he doesn't want it to be. Almost like
it'd be like Tony's cool Iron Man armor, like the Iron Man armor he had before he died, where he can you know, he can make it invisible so you can see him like in his regular clothes, like a regular guy, but really he's wearing his armor, you know, which is a pretty cool option. I tell you, if I'd probably take Iron Man over it. Like, if I could have I would want that armor. Like,
well, and like he doesn't have. Like there's no. I'll tell you, like Iron Man's not my favorite hero or anything. Like, I like him enough in the movies, but he's not like someone I read a lot of comics about. But you know, he doesn't have any of the. He gets best of both worlds, because he doesn't have any of the like racist shit mutants have to deal with. He doesn't have any of the like dangerous public shit like regular heroes they always worry about going off and doing, because he's just some regular rich guy that has armor. You know what I'm saying? Like he gets he skirts around all the issues there with that, which is the only reason I agree with you there. Like, yeah, I would want to be him too, because in a real world setting, like, nobody really has too many problems with you.
No, it's the best. You can pee in the thing, you know what I mean? Like, I would never take it off. I'd fly everywhere. I would do so much cool shit in that armor. Fuck that. That's the thing that I love most about, like, I read a ton of Iron Man and stuff, and I love Iron Man, but like it's mostly because I love that armor, and I like to see what he does with it, and I like to see the different armors that he builds. Like, Tony Stark's kind of a dick. In everything I've ever read from him, he's like, he tries to be a good guy, but he's mostly a dick, and he's not someone you could like really idolize. But that armor is fucking awesome, and that's why I love Iron Man so much. But so yeah, so he puts on his armor, and he gets attacked. Like, a bunch of fucking foot soldier ninjas jump through the window, and they just start attacking him, and he starts swinging his electricity sword, and he cuts them all down pretty quick. And then Gorgon shows up, And he says, you know, the Hand has tried to unify themselves with the Yashida clan for a long, long time, you know, and Harada's always refused them. And now they're not going to give him the choice to refuse anymore. This is going to be like a hostile takeover. They're coming in to take over his corporation and all of his resources. He laughs. Harada laughs. Silver Samurai, what have you, because he knew that this day was going to come. And in fact, he designed over 5,000 contingency plans just for this specific occasion, for them attacking them. It didn't really work out for him, but then he initiates one of them, and he turns all of the foot soldiers to dust. Because if you know anything about the Hand, as soon as you kill one of them, they just turn to dust because they've been dead for a long time to begin with. So they're basically like ninja dead body ninjas. So
yeah,
zombie
think
ninjas.
Like how they brought back Elektra in like the season 2 of Daredevil, or
or
was that Defenders? I'm mixing them up at this point. But
it was season 2 of, it was at the end of season 2 of Daredevil, but she didn't actually come back till Defenders. So technically it was Daredevil.
Okay. But yeah, that's like what they do to all the soldiers, you know?
Yeah, that's what they do to everybody. And they turn to dust when they die. I think it's like the dollar store version of what they did to her, because, you know, these people, like, if they get a sword through the chest, they come back to life, but, you know, you cut off their head and they're gone. So gone. But then, while, you know, boasting about his contingency plans and his defenses, he lets his guard down, and he's talking to Gorgon, and Gorgon's running some shit. And he doesn't notice that someone's coming up behind him, you know, and he even tells him, Gorgon tells him, you know, I figured you'd have contingencies. I did not underestimate your ingenuity. I just thought I'd use your arrogance against you. And he totally did, because he's sitting there being cocky like a little dickhead, because he is a little dickhead. And then someone comes up behind him and shoves a sword through his chest, and it's the Scarlet Samurai, and to be continued. So I don't know, like, he looks dead. Like, when you look at his face and this last page, the way his eyes roll back, he looks like he's fucking dead, but he could have taken that Regenex
like some sort of healing powers, or not a healing factor necessarily like Wolverine, but I don't think he's dead. You know what I'm saying?
No, like, he just created this whole issue. They put a big emphasis on that drug. Like, you know, we didn't see where it was going, but they put a big emphasis on that drug, Regenex. So you chop off people's fingers, you chop off their arms and legs, it grows back right away. So if he gets stabbed through the chest, like, if he had that drug, why wouldn't he be taking it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, so he's definitely got that healing ability from that drug. So I don't think this killed him, but I think they're gonna think that it killed him, and he might let it go like that, and then come back later. We might be seeing a team up here, but judging by the cover, maybe not. And then you get the cool the Marvel Legacy premiere pages by Andrea Sorrentino that looked pretty good. The briefly tell you the story of Old Man Logan. So that was kind of nice. And my tablet just froze.
But yeah, as far as Old Man Logan 31 goes, buy, borrow, or forget. What do you think?
All right, so, you know, it's got that normal Mike Deodato beautiful goodness that we all know and love. It looks great. It was a little slow start, you know, but it was a typical issue. So was the last arc. It had a slow start. I heard a lot of people complaining. They were like, you know, not a lot happened. A lot of reviewers complaining. Reviewers complaining that not a lot happened, but I think a good amount happened. You know, Logan's just coming off out of what happened in the previous arc, and he's checking out Japan because he's got a long history with Japan, and he runs into some shit, because he always runs into some shit. That's his thing. This is what happens. So
yeah.
But I enjoyed it. It was decent setup. You know, we got all the players. We got the special drug that we don't know too much about yet, except for everybody seems to be after it. And we had a cool fight scene with Logan and some ninjas. So, I mean, well, some gangsters, and then fucking Silver Samurai and some ninjas. I really enjoyed it. It was a slow start to an arc, but I think it's going to get, you know, the story's going to get more intricate and better as it goes along. I mean, it's just the beginning. So I'll give it a buy. If you like the last arc, you'll definitely like this. So I'd recommend it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm kind of in between buy and borrow, but I'm going to lean more towards buy for it. I mean, it's a series I follow and a book I enjoy, so you know, there's that. I'm a little biased as far as that goes, but I really enjoy the art in this book. I was a little worried when I'm forgetting the Lemire, right? Who wrote it before?
Yeah, Lemire.
Okay.
Lemire wrote it before.
Okay, I was a little worried when he stopped and Brisson took over, but I've enjoyed Brisson's style. The one kind of complaint I wish would happen is that I wish kind of there would be more of a long form story going through. Like at this point, we're just getting mini arcs, you know, like typical 6-issue arcs with Old Man Logan, and there's no like overarching or story in the background going on. Really, he's just kind of content now as being a human on Earth Prime, which is fine. But I would like to see like Brisson. I would like to see Brisson, like, you know, get him involved in something deeper than just, you know, fighting the next bad guy for 6 issues.
Yeah, let him meet to something. I know this storyline from future solicitations is going to continue for a while. I mean, I read some
probably 6 issues again. I don't see it going 12.
Yeah, I read some news that, like, you know, the character of Scarlet Samurai might play like a bigger role down the line in his regular stories. Like, I don't think it's going to continue into a bigger story, but I think she's going to come back in. But maybe because the regular Logan is back, they can't commit to anything huge. Like, who knows?
Yeah, they're probably waiting to see what happens with all that, or get direction or something. But I mean, as far as this issue goes, I really had a good time with it. So, you know, I would suggest checking it out, especially if you're an Old Man Logan fan. And like we said, bunch of fights, bunch of action. It's a good time. I like it. But yeah, that's Old Man Logan. We're gonna head off to the Midpoint Marvelous Facts, and we got 2 people to talk about today. We got first one we covered in section 1, and then second person we're covering in section 2 as far as the books go. But the first one is Darkhawk, was created by Tom DeFalco and Mike Manley. First appearance was in Darkhawk #1, 1991 of March. And yeah, I mean, like I said, when we talked about this book, this is a character I always thought looked cool, but, you know, I never read a whole bunch of issues with him in it. I know I had the first Defenders with Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Darkhawk, and Spider-Woman. It was like a red foil cover. I had that comic, and then that was probably the only Darkhawk comic I owned, and I might have read one other one with him in it.
I had a ton, because when I was a kid, there used to be this comic book store down the street from my elementary school where this guy sold like all old comics for like a nickel to a dime per issue. They weren't in the best condition, but they were good enough to like buy them and read them and enjoy them. And I didn't know who Darkhawk was. I had no clue, but I saw Wolverine on a cover once, so I bought one, and then I just kept buying them, and I had like a ton of them for just because of that. Because I was like, "Oh, Wolverine's in this issue or something." Like, I'm gonna buy a ton of them, so I just bought a bunch of them. Don't have them anymore though.
Anyway, yeah, we got a couple facts here for you about Darkhawk. Some interesting things. So Chris Powell is his name as a character, and Chris can transfer his consciousness into the Darkhawk alien android. So the actual Darkhawk, I guess, is like a robot kind of creature that he just transforms his body into, while at the same time switch the robotic body's place with that of his own body wherever he is at time. So he does kind of like just a body swap with the thing when he gets into uniform. Then we see all that in the issue here. They do a pretty good job once I found this fact out of that issue making more sense as far as what's going on. You know what I'm saying? It still doesn't explain what happens to the bad guy. I don't know where the bad guy just disappears. He's either in there with Chris or he's dead. I don't know. One of the two.
I think maybe he's dead. Because he just did not come back out wherever he went.
I know. I think he's dead too. But
he had these cool, back in the day, he had these cool fucking Wolverine like claws that came out of his little gauntlet. It was pretty fucking badass.
Yeah. There's on the wiki page too, there's a bunch of like things they clarify at the bottom about the character, because he's kind of developed a little bit of a lore on his own, and there's a bunch of fan misunderstandings, because I guess continuity wasn't really hammered home about Darkhawk after his series ended.
Yeah.
So there is different. Yeah, that's kind of the big thing that quote unquote Darkhawk fans were all upset about. That was one of the things I read about. Here's another one. It has been a misunderstanding amongst many readers and fans of Darkhawk that he was aware of his status as a hero within the Marvel 2099 universe, in which he is known as the Powell, or one of the most powerful and feared heroes in the universe. This wasn't Earth 928, which is the Marvel 2099 U. It was a similar cyberpunk dystopia world within Chronopolis, whatever all that means. This was resolved by DeFalco himself within the letter columns in one of the final Darkhawk issues of the ongoing series. So yeah, 2099 was a big deal back then. So I guess people were coming to blows about whether Darkhawk knew of his future in the 2099 or not, and then that kind of settled it all. It was answered in a letters page in one of his final issues.
He was down with the New Warriors, right?
He was part of the Defenders. I know that. He might have been part of the New Warriors. I've never really read a New Warriors comic to tell you much about it, though. So
old stuff, not a New Warriors expert.
But yeah, the second one is the bad guy currently of the Venom series in this kind of 3-issue arc he's been going through, 4-issue arc. Kraven the Hunter. So he's a longtime Spider-Man and Spider family villain. Creators were Steve Lee and Steve Ditko. His first appearance was way back in the day of Amazing Spider-Man number 15, 1964, by those two. So that was, he's an original villain of Spider-Man, the first run. And he gets his powers from a chemical/magical enhancement. So after Kraven ingested Calypso's mythical potions, his physiology underwent several changes, endowing him with superhuman physical attributes. Powers he gained put him on the top of the food chain, as they are even greater than those of Captain America, who is himself considered a pinnacle of human evolution. Kraven is better, stronger, and faster, and more cunning than any human. Coupled with his skills, Kraven truly is a dangerous and deadly adversary. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good way to sum up, give a comparison for the power level you're dealing with when you're dealing with Kraven. Unlike other hunters, this is just kind of, a general cool fact about Kraven. He prefers to take down large, dangerous animals with his own bare hands and despises the use of guns. Let me clarify this. Guns or bow and arrows. And we'll clarify that by saying guns that shoot bullets. He uses net guns pretty often. So he doesn't hate the gun itself, just hates when it shoots bullets and takes the challenge, I guess, out of just killing his victims or his prey, however he refers to them. But yeah, you got anything on Kraven or Darkhawk that I skipped out on you want to add?
No, nothing really. I'm actually looking at old Darkhawk comics right now because I downloaded all of them the other day.
That's probably an interesting bubble to get into.
Yeah. I just found the first one I bought. It was it was 31. It had Wolverine, Strong Guy, Rogue, and New Warriors and Hulk on the cover. It was from the.
You knew how to get kids to buy comics back in those days. Put Wolverine on the cover.
Oh yeah. And X-Men character.
In the 90s, Wolverine was on every cover.
Yeah, I was a X-Men freak when I was a little kid, and then I had the toys, I had comic books, I had sheets, I had everything was X-Men when I was a little kid. So if you want me to buy a comic, you put an X-Men on that, especially Wolverine, I'll buy that fucking thing. When I was a kid, my allowance is going towards that.
Whoop. My bad. Trying to get something ready for the next podcast here, and then it started playing. But we're going to wrap up the midpoint facts. We're going to send you guys off to book section number 2, where we're going to highlight Venom number 158. And we'll be right back.